إن أنتم إلا تكذبون. قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين. قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم. قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. وأفلح من يصلي على محمد وآل محمد.
صل على محمد وآل محمد. أزور سيدي ومولاي ومعتمدي ورجائي، ذخري وذخيرتي في آخرتي ودنياي، مولاي أبا عبد الله الحسين، إصالة عن نفسي ونيابة عن والدي ووالد والدي، وعن إخواني وجيراني وأصدقائي، وعن جميع المؤمنين والمؤمنات ومن سألني الزيارة. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد الوصيين، السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور، السلام عليك وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك، عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار. يا أبا عبد الله، لقد عظمت الرزية وجلت، وعظمت المصيبة بك علينا وعلى جميع أهل الإسلام، وجلت وعظمت مصيبتك في السماوات على جميع أهل السماوات. فلعن الله أمة أسست أساس الظلم والجور عليكم أهل البيت، ولعن الله أمة دفعتكم عن مقامكم وأزالتكم عن مراتبكم التي رتبكم الله فيها. ولعن الله أمة قتلتكم. ولعن الله الممهدين لهم بالتمكين من قتالكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم ومن أشياعهم وأتباعهم وأوليائهم. يا أبا عبد الله إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم إلى يوم القيامة. ولعن الله آل زياد وآل مروان. ولعن الله
Recording
بني
in
أمية
progress.
قاطبة. ولعن الله ابن مرجانة. ولعن الله عمر بن سعد. ولعن الله شمراء. ولعن الله أمة أسرجت وألجمت وتنقبت لقتالك. بأبي أنت وأمي لقد عظم مصابي بك. فأسأل الله الذي أكرم مقامك وأكرمني بك أن يرزقني طلب ثأرك مع إمام منصور من أهل بيت محمد. اللهم اجعلني عندك وجيها بالحسين في الدنيا والآخرة. يا أبا عبد الله إني أتقرب إلى الله وإلى رسوله وإلى أمير المؤمنين وإلى فاطمة وإلى الحسن وإليك بموالاتك وبالبراءة ممن قاتلك ونصب لك الحرب، وبالبراءة ممن أسس أساس الظلم والجور عليكم. وأبرأ إلى الله وإلى رسوله ممن أسس أساس ذلك وبني عليه بنيانه وجرى في ظلمه وجوره عليكم وعلى أشيائكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم، وأتقرب إلى الله ثم إليكم بموالاتكم وموالاة وليكم وبالبراءة من أعدائكم والناصبين لكم الحرب، وبالبراءة من أشياعهم وأتباعهم. إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم وولي لمن والاكم وعدو لمن عاداكم. فأسأل الله الذي أكرمني بمعرفتكم ومعرفة أوليائكم ورزقني البراءة من أعدائكم أن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة، وأن يثبت لي عندكم قدم صدق في الدنيا والآخرة. وأسأله أن يبلغني المقام المحمود لكم عند الله، وأن يرزقني طلب ثأري مع إمام هدى ظاهر ناطق بالحق منكم. وأسأل الله بحقكم وبالشأن الذي لكم عنده أن يعطيني بمصابي بكم أفضل ما يعطي مصابا بمصيبته، مصيبة ما أعظمها وأعظم رزيتها في الإسلام وفي جميع السماوات والأرض. اللهم اجعلني في مقامي هذا ممن تناله منك صلوات ورحمة ومغفرة. اللهم اجعل محياي محيا محمد وآل محمد، ومماتي ممات محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إن هذا يوم تبركت به بنو أمية وابن آكلة الأكباد اللعين ابن اللعين على لسانك ولسان نبيك في كل موطن وموقف وقف فيه نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم لعن أبا سفيان ومعاوية ويزيد بن معاوية عليهم منك اللعنة أبد الآبدين. وهذا يوم فرحت به آل زياد وآل مروان بقتلهم الحسين صلوات الله عليه صلوات الله عليه. اللهم فضاعف عليهم اللعن منك والعذاب الأليم. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك في هذا اليوم وفي موقفي هذا وأيام حياتي بالبراءة منهم واللعنة عليهم وبالموالاة لنبيك وآل نبيك عليه وعليكم السلام. اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له على ذلك. اللهم لعن العصابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله، اللهم لعنهم جميعا. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت، وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. اللهم خص أنت أول ظالم باللعن مني، وابدأ به أولا، ثم العن الثاني والثالث والرابع. اللهم العن يزيد خامسا، والعن عبيد الله بن زياد وابن مرجانة وعمر بن سعد وشمرا وآل أبي سفيان وآل زياد وآل مروان إلى يوم القيامة. سجود. اللهم لك الحمد حمد الشاكرين لك على مصابهم، الحمد لله على عظيم رزيتي. اللهم ارزقني شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود، وثبت لي قدم صدق عندك مع الحسين وأصحاب الحسين الذين بذلوا مهجهم دون الحسين عليه السلام. وصلى الله على محمد وآل محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخالق الأجمعين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وخاتم النبيين حبيبنا وحبيب إليه العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى طيبين الطاهرين المعصومين ولا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى يوم الدين. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليكم مني جميع سلام الله عبدا وما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله الآخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. سلام على الحسين وعلى علي ibn al-Husayn وعلى أولاد al-Husayn وعلى أصحاب al-Husayn. Assalamu alaikum to all the brothers and sisters. As we all know, tonight, well, we could say it is the night for a few people, the companions of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn. The one that we will be focusing on today will be Habib ibn Mazahir. However, in different cultures, different places, you could even say, they have the same for the other companions and also for Abdullah ibn Hassan, the youngest Shaheed of Karbala. And inshallah, towards the end, we want to mention him as well because of the importance role he plays and the story he tells us as Shias and individuals and Shias of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn. Habib ibn Mazahir was a person that had seen the Prophet of Allah. He was, of course, older than Abu Abdullah al-Husayn, and at the time of the Prophet he was there. Also with Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. He was also in the army of Imam Ali alayhi salam, and he was one of the special forces of Imam Ali alayhi salam. So he wasn't a foot soldier. He was one of those special, and their force had a special name. And in all the wars that Imam Ali, the 3 wars that he played with, whether it be with Muawiyah or the Khawarij and so on, and with Aisha, he was there, and he was one of the special forces. And one of the importance that he plays in the story of Kufa before Ashura happened with Muslim is that 3 people spoke on that first time when they went to pray, and then afterwards they spoke to the people of Kufa that if they want to be, because Abu Abdullah al-Husayn had sent them to see if the people of Kufa were genuinely sincere and they actually wanted Abu Abdullah al-Husayn to come. So 3 people spoke. First Muslim spoke. He gave a long and knowledgeable speech about Abu Abdullah, about the path that they want to take, the wrong things that Yazid has done, the way that Islam is going and the way it should be going. And after Muslim, Abis came and gave a speech. Abis came and gave a long speech, a full of knowledge speech, a speech that it actually changed the minds of many that were there. After Abis spoke in the Masjid of Kufa, the 3rd person was Habib. However, Habib came and said only one sentence. He got up and said, whatever Abis has said, I also say the same. I am the same, I have the same heart and same mind that Abis has. It shows his down to earth, that he doesn't want to get up and for him to say something else again. Because he had the exact same thought, and he said that whatever that should have been said, Abis said it. There's nothing for me to say. But all I want to say is that I have the exact same thought as Abis. And I'm doing ta'eed, I'm doing a more of a pressured, that you understand exactly what he said and the importance of what he said. I'm with him as well. And of course the famous story of Habib that Abu Abdullah al-Husayn has sent him a letter to invite him to come and fight in Karbala. Well, this story that a letter was sent to him is a narration from the earlier books of Shia. So the Shia books that we have and the history that has been told throughout from the 1st century, the Arabic calendar, until now, it's relatively new because it was on the 7th century. Sorry, on the 7th century, from one of the a correct book. It's not. We don't want to say that the narration is wrong. However, it's newer. It's a newer narration. However, the older narrations that we have and the ones that are from, for example, Sheikh al-Saduq and Marhum Kulaini and all these, which are a lot older and they're so closer to the Ma'sumin alayhi salam. There's maybe even 100 years apart or sometimes even less. And so many of these people were in the times of the 4 followers of Imam Zaman that were alive at that time, which they would speak to them. They would speak directly to the people that have seen Imam Zaman alayhi salam and had a connection and would speak to the Imam. So this story is a little bit unbelievable, you could say, that Imam had to send him a letter for him to come to Karbala. Because Habib wasn't a normal person. He wasn't just a normal believer. Habib was a true mu'min. He was a mu'min that when he met, there's a famous story of his meeting with Yasir, one of the followers. And he said that you won't make it to Ammar Yasir. He said, you won't make it to Karbala. You'll die before Karbala. He foretold what was going to happen to Ammar Yasir. He said, you won't see Karbala. You're going to die before Karbala even reaches. And the second thing, in the prisons, he said to Mukhtar that you won't also be in Karbala. However, you will avenge Imam Hussein alayhi salam. You will avenge him, however, you won't be there. So a person that has this eminent spirituality that can foretell someone's future and foretell the future, I don't think Imam will need him to say, come and fight for me. He himself will come. So many of the times when in Medina they said, why are you going, Habib? He said, I'm the one that wrote on the letter. I wrote to my Imam that I want him to come. My name is on that letter. What are we going to say? When we said, we want you to come. It's not that Imam imposed himself on the people of Kufa or imposed himself on anyone. The people themselves wrote to the Imam that come. Habib was so important to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein that in each of the companions of Abu Abdullah, there's a sentence that Abu Abdullah says when they get martyred. For Habib, it's hadda dhalika al-Husayna. Had to be separated. I got cut in half when he heard about the shahadat and the being martyred of Habib ibn Mazahir. The importance of Habib or Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Now Habib is one of those companions that on the Zuhr of Ashura, when they got up to pray and the prayer was led by Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, he stood in front so that none of the arrows would hit Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. And he has a famous speech. Throughout Karbala, it's good to know that throughout Karbala, each of the companions, they said a razaj or a shi'r, a speech, a beautiful speech. Each one of them had a beautiful speech that we, as the followers of Ahlul Bayt, we can use. And there's 5 things that Habib says in the speech before the namaz of Zuhr of Ashura. He says the qualities of the companions of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. What are these qualities? What is the qualities that these people had? Of course, if we look at afar, we can't have the exact same depth and knowledge of what it exactly was than a companion himself telling us, this is the sifat, these are the characteristics that we had. So Habib says the first characteristic that we, the companions of Abu Abdullah, have is purity. We have purity. We're pure. Tahir. We are mutahhir. We've been pured. Now mutahharun is a maqam. Mutahharun is of course a maqam that is given to the people, a person, that has reached a certain level of spirituality, has worked on himself and has made himself pure or herself pure. So the companions of Abu Abdullah, the things that we should reach is purity. Purity from what? This is the first question that should arise in our heads. Purity from what? From sin. In the session before we said sin is a dark mark or a hit to our souls. Is a setback. If sin is a setback, how can we make sure that there are no setbacks? By having purity. By reaching these mutahharun, these people that have reached these levels of purity. This is the first characteristic that's very important. The second one, there's 5 in total. The second one that Habib says is that we have a hujjat. We have hujjat for what we're doing. Even though it's in the razaj, in the shi'r itself, it says, even though we are few, and in Yazid has thousands upon thousands of soldiers, but we have a hujjat. We have iman. These people have been paid. Either they've been paid that they want to fight against Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, or they're afraid of Yazid, that's why they want to fight with Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, or because those people are so many and they just go with the flow. So they went, and because so many of these people didn't have iman, they didn't have any belief, which we will get to in the later session of this session. But these people were just sometimes this way, they were like a wave. They had no solid ground, they had no foundation. Now for a few jalases, for a few lectures, we've been just speaking about iman, and this is why the importance is. Habib is saying, the first thing is that we have a hujjat. This is iman, this is the show of iman itself. When it's saying that we have a hujjat, it's because he has belief in what he's saying. And these people have no hujjat, it means they have no belief, they have no iman. We have Abu Abdullah al-Hussein on our side. When the son of Rasulullah, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, when the son of Rasulullah is on our side, and Yazid is on that side, of course we have hujjat. The third characteristic that was mentioned is that we are true to our word. We are true to our oath. We are true to our promise. We made a promise to stick with Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. And we won't come back from our oath. Now if we look to our day-to-day life, we should be exactly the same way. We should stick to our oaths. When we say our word is our bond, if we say something, we have to stick. These are the little things. These are the things that can set into our souls and have effect. Because sometimes we say, okay, this is not important. Okay, I said I'm going to be there at 7:30. If I'm there at 9 o'clock, it's okay as well. 10 o'clock, it's okay as well. But if I'm true to my word, even in the little things, it has effect in the bigger things, in the bigger ideologies, in the bigger events that are going to happen. Because I've already practiced in the little ones. It's extremely important. Honestly, if we go and read the stories of awliyaullah, the stories of the companions of the imams, even in the littlest things, they paid great attention. In the city of Qom, there's a person in the middle of the courtyard between Haram Bibi Ma'suma alayhi salam and the Masjid of Hassan al-Askari. There's a masjid called Hassan al-Askari, which Imam Hassan al-Askari itself wrote a letter that I want a masjid being built there in his time. And the masjid was built, and it's a beautiful masjid that they do i'tikaf now in Qom over there. In between this, there's a small graveyard, and a lot of the ulama are buried there. And some of the ashab, there's ashab Imam Baqir is buried there, one of the ashab of Imam Sadiq is buried there. Zakaria ibn Adam is buried there, and this is the person that we want to speak about. Zakaria ibn Adam was one of the ashab of Imam Rida alayhi salam. And Zakaria ibn Adam was such a pious person that Imam would speak to him overnight. He would go to the Imam's house and they would speak and speak and speak, and they would laugh together, and he would hear stories from Imam. And Imam Rida alayhi salam sent him to Qom to be the hakim, the leader over there, the judge over there, for example. Zakir ibn Adam wrote a letter to Imam Rida that I want to leave from Qom. And Imam sent him a letter back, why do you want to leave from Qom? He replied, because I was on the streets and I saw someone trying to bring a sheep forward, but the sheep wouldn't move. So this person was holding a leaf in front of the sheep so that it would trick it into coming. And as soon as I saw this, I'm scared that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring an azab on Qom, that I will also fall into that azab. Just by this one little thing, holding a leaf in front of a sheep to make a sheep. And his reasoning was because he's lying to the sheep. He's giving false hope to the sheep. Not a human, but just the sheep. This is Zakir ibn Adam. And it's been said, if you want worldly things, go to Zakir ibn Adam. He'll give your hajat. If you want something, go to Zakir ibn Adam. Ask him, he'll give it to you. For your akhirat stuff, you're here after, go to Bibi Ma'suma alayhi salam. This is the maqam, this is the high levels that Zakir ibn Adam has reached. Just by paying attention. We're not saying for us now to pay to those small, that kind of little things in our lives. However, we have to start somewhere. The more attention that we pay to these little things, the higher we can go. Having in mind that, okay, now I'm paying attention to these small little things. I'm not missing the big ones. I'm not missing my prayers and my fasting and so on and so forth. Having both. And the fourth, walaikum salam. And the fourth is that we have patience. We have sabr. Allahu yuhibbu sabirin. How many times in the Quran has it said, sabr wa salat? Having patience. And Allah says, Allahu yuhibbu sabirin. Allah loves the ones that are sabir, that have patience. Patience honestly goes a long way. One of the reasons that we youth, and I say we because I would like to put myself in the youth section, make more mistakes than elders is because elders have more patience. One way of making sure that you don't make mistakes is having patience to your day-to-day life. For example, if I have so many problems in my life, or I want to get married and I can't get married at the moment right now, having patience. Having patience, sabr wa salat. So many of the ulama in Qom, so many of our teachers say, if you have sabr and pray, do salat, actually do salat. Say, Allah, I want this, for example. And not just by going in qunut and doing the prayer, but no, performing a prayer. And having the intention that I'm doing this prayer, this, for example, 2 rakat prayer of hajat. And I want, for example, this thing. If you do it with real belief that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give it to you, He will give it to you. Just have patience. Wait a little while. One of a very spiritual man in Qom, he's probably not ready for me to say his name, so I won't, but he used to say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He knows how to be God. You should learn how to be the servant of Allah. Allah knows how to be God. He knows how to be God. You learn to be a servant. Don't worry about when He's going to give or what He's going to give. You be a good servant and He knows what He should do. Don't tell Allah what He should do. Don't teach Him His own job. And the fifth, which is extremely important, and we mentioned this even on the first session that we had together, and it's the thing that I've been insisting on because of the importance, is taqwa. We said that taqwa has two sections into it. One is doing what Allah has told you, imtithal al-amr al-ilahi, and also not doing the things that Allah has told you not to do. Now taqwa is extremely important. Honestly, brothers and sisters, every single hadith that I see is one of the sifat and the characteristics of mu'mineen, because there's many. There's one Imam Sallallahu says there's 4 characteristics. There's another one that says there's 10 characteristics, and there's a reason why, a long reason why. In each of them, this taqwa has come. In the Quran al-Majid, it says taqwa is the wasiyat of Allah to Bani Adam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to Bani Adam, all the sons and daughters of Adam, have taqwa in your life. Taqwa is what saves you. Taqwa is the thing that reaches you to sa'adat, immortal felicity. Because if you do these 2 things, the 2 parts of taqwa, that's it. You've bought for yourself heaven. What more do you need to do? The people that went and fought for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, was it mustahab? It was wajib. It's their imam. For you to do your normal prayers, is it wajib? It's wajib. Even if we don't focus on the mustahab stuff and the makruh stuff, we don't focus on those. Just by doing our wajibat, the things that we must do, and not doing the things that we're not supposed to do, that's it. It's as easy as that. Well, I don't mean it's that easy, but the ideology is as easy as that. So these are the 5 characteristics that Habib ibn Mazahir said that we as the companions of Abu Abdullah have these 5 characteristics. And we should, all of us, in our day-to-day life, honestly replay these to ourselves. And do we have these characteristics? If I don't, how am I supposed to implement this in my day-to-day life? When I go to school, when I go to uni, when I go to work, when I come back, the relations I have with my family, with my wife, husband, child, mother, so on and so forth. How do I act? Do I act in the way I'm supposed to act? Because honestly, brothers and sisters, the difference of coming to the majalis of Abu Abdullah is that when we leave that door, we're not the same person. Even changing by a little bit, even one thing if we change in ourselves, in every majlis, through time, gradually, it has effect on our souls. But by just listening and doing latmi and leaving, it's not enough. Taking it into action and implementing that in our lives, that's the important one. The difference between the companions of Abu Abdullah and the others was that they were, we call in Farsi, Ahl Amal. They were men of action. They actually implemented the things that they believed in, not just by saying it. Ayatollah Tahriri, Razwanullah Ta'ala, always says the truth in faith is if you see the action. If you don't see the action, the person doesn't have faith. They don't truly believe it. It's just something, another information. Just like we say, oh, the earth is the 3rd planet on the sun. What do we do about that? There's nothing we do about that. But the belief system in Islam is not at all like that. Each one that we believe, it has to be implemented in our lives. If we believe in Tawheed, we have to have the ideology of Tawheed, which inshallah we'll have in the other sessions. What it means, what it indicates to believe in Tawheed. It means to go nowhere else but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not having any other master than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ayatollah Bahjat, rahmatullah alayhi, would always say to the scholars that when you go to Tabligh and you have a lecture, always have one point that is also a theological point, a theological Islamic point. And so it was deemed appropriate at this session, especially with the night of Habib ibn Mazahir, is that there is, in Islam, we have a mu'min. Not just a Muslim, but a mu'min. There's a big difference. And the opposite to a Muslim, there's not only one, there's not kafir. It's interesting to know. There is 4 people that are opposite to a mu'min. A first is a kafir. And by the way, the mu'min section, if we want to check out the narrations and the hadith, a mu'min has been mentioned in the Quran how many times? The first 5 ayahs of Surah Baqarah is all the sifat of mu'min. Then it has 2 ayahs, the next 2, 6 and 7 is about what a kafir is. And then 17 ayahs about a munafiq. Oh, we get to that. Why? Why is it saying 17 ayahs? And also the beginning surahs of Hujurat, it says what it is to be a mu'min. What does it actually mean? A mu'min is a person that has iman and acts upon his iman. The characteristics that Habib ibn Mazahir mentioned and narrated here are exactly what a mu'min is. A mu'min is not a person that just talks about Islam but actually acts like a Muslim. If you look at their akhlaq, their ethics and their behavior, you would fall in love with them. What a lovely person this is. That's what it is to be a Shia. You sit down next to them, they make you calmer. You get calmness from them. So many of these big ayatollahs that we've seen, when people narrate, we've gone and sat next to these people, you feel a certain calmness about them. And when you're next to them, you also feel calm. This is because of the iman and the faith that these people have. It comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the difference is that the cup that they have for Allah to pour this water in, the water of iman, their cup is a lot bigger than ours. Amir al-Mu'mineen has a hadith that says everything is fitted to its cup, to its zarf, to its you could say cup. For example, if I want to fill this cup, it's only going to fill to the brim, not more than the brim. The more water you pour, it pours out. You can't fill more water. It says, except illa ilm. Ilm, the more you pour in, the bigger it gets. Now, ilm is nothing that you can say it's one thing on its own. Ilm is always with a insan, with a human being. A human being is that has ilm. And that's the truth about a person, a human being, an insan. An insan is a person that the more you pour in, the more iman you pour in, the bigger it gets and the more you can pour in. And again, the bigger it gets. It doesn't stop. And that's the beauty of insan. That's why Allah said, Tabarakallah. Is because the only creation that can reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and reach infinity is insan, is a human being. Riwayat from Imam Ali alayhi salam. Now on the opposite side to a mu'min is a kafir. A kafir is not just a person, we sometimes mistake that, this person on the street, this person is a kafir. That's not a kafir. A kafir is a person that knows the truth, however denies it. Kafir is Yazid. He knows the truth, but he denies it. The story that we mentioned yesterday when the person said, I have no hope in coming back because of the things I've done, and I know the truth, but I'm not going to come back. That's a kafir. He knows the truth. However, he decides to be there. And a kafir is what? خَتَمَ اللَّهَ لِقُلُوبِهِمْ وَعَلَىٰ سَمْئِهِمْ وَعَلَىٰ أَبْصَارِهِمْ غِشَاوَةٌ وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ. That's a kafir. Surah 6 and 7. Wa alaikum salam. Surah 6 and 7 of Surah Baqarah describes exactly what a kafir is. Now the after kafir, the second is a munafiq. Now why is it that so many ayahs after this, all the way till around ayah 26 to 7 of Baqarah, Surah Baqarah, just after the kafir, it explains what a munafiq is. Because munafiq is more dangerous than a kafir. Munafiq is a person that when you look at them, they pretend to be a mu'min. However, in their hearts, they're a kafir. So they deceive you. These type of people we have to look out for. We have to be careful of. They're the ones that can give the most damage to our faith and the most damage to our communities. You've seen that in the media there's actually a few channels and media sites that so many of these Wahhabis have, and they do advertisement for themselves, and they bring some very ridiculous reasons for what they believe in and so on. However, there's so many also Shia channels and sites that they have and media that these people do a worse job and put more damage than actually the Sunnis do or other faiths. Because they trick the youth from within. For example, they say there was one of them, we don't want to mention who the person was, but says a riwayat from a hadith which is very weak, and no one believes it. And with this one hadith, said a very rude thing about Imam Hassan alayhi salam. And one of these youth came to me and said, it was in another country, he came to me and said, did you know this hadith about this person? It said, this person said this. And I was shocked. So wait a minute, what hadith? Let me see it, let me read it. Let me look at the sanad, who said it? It doesn't even have a sanad. I looked at it and I was like, this doesn't even have a sanad. And then he showed me the video that he saw. That's why I always say, be careful about what you watch. Be careful of the sites, and just because it says, I don't know, Shia.this, it doesn't mean it's a correct site. It doesn't mean this source is correct. Just because, for example, they have an amama on their head, doesn't mean that you have to accept everything. Bring reasons for me. Tell them to bring you reasons. When you're saying this, okay, where are you saying this from? Why is it this? Give me a logical reason. Not a logical reason to fiqh, okay? Because that's ta'abbudi. We accept that because the marja says. But it's a belief system. What we believe in, that's not taqleed. So a munafiq has a much more damage to our society than a kafir does. And these are the ones that we have to be looking out for. The next, so this was the second. The next one is these people that are 50-50. In the Quran we call them murjan. These guys are not always a mu'min, but they're not also a munafiq. They're somewhere in the middle. The person that martyred Hamza, Hazrat Hamza, when he came to the Prophet and he said, I've done tawbah and I want to become a Muslim. He said to the Prophet, I want to become a Muslim, but not so much. It's in the riwayat. He said, not so much. What does not so much mean? I've heard this so many said in the Shia communities. That person's too much a mu'min. I want to be a little bit. There's no little bit or too much. It's not intensity. This isn't the intensity of light or something. You're either a mu'min or you're not. Like, no, for example, I read my prayers. But hijab is not that important. What do you mean? Namaz, okay, I do my namaz, but hijab is not that important. I heard this a lot from the brothers of Ahl Sunnah. They're like, no, pork is haram, but halal chicken, it's okay. It's not halal. We were in the army and this happened in Finland. They were like, no, it's chicken, halal. If it's not halal, it's not halal. We'll say Bismillah and we'll have it. These are people that are 50-50. They're sometimes here, sometimes there. A beautiful story from the time of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, when he gathered the people and he was running away from Fir'aun, and Fir'aun was chasing him. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam has a beautiful riwayat about a few people that were there at that time. They said, let us stay with Fir'aun, and he's chasing Hazrat Musa, and let's go there and see which one wins. If Hazrat Musa can escape and he wins and stuff, we'll go with him. We'll run away. But if Hazrat Musa gets killed and Fir'aun wins, then we'll slip ourselves into the army of Fir'aun and just come back with him. These are 50-50 people. Now these you just have to let go. These people, Allah knows what to do with them. These are 50-50 people. And there's many of them. But the ones that are even more than these 50-50 people are what we call muzdaz'af. Muzdaz'af, but not in riches, but in thought. Muzdaz'af fikri. People that they don't know. This phrase is being said a lot in the West, for example. I'm agnostic. I don't know. I don't believe in anything. I know there is something, but I don't know what it is. Philosophically, that's actually wrong. I know there is something, but I don't know what that is. What is that? So you don't know it technically. There is something. What is something? So muzdaz'af is someone that they don't. Now these people are extremely a lot. Whether if they're non-Shias, some of them we see them in the West. They were like, Shia. What's exactly a Shia? Is that like it's in Muslims? Like, okay. So they don't even know what a Shia is, or what a Sunni is, or what the difference is. So many of them, you ask them, you're Christian, which one? Like, I don't know, I'm just a Christian. So they don't even know their own faith. A few of them you ask, you believe in Trinity, they don't even know what Trinity is. That's how the society in the 21st century is going. Religion is being just pushed aside. Let's think about money and making money and excelling, buying this house, buying this property, and buying this watch and phone, and it's becoming extremely materialistic. So mostly people are not even thinking about these things. They don't even go after these things. Now in Shias we have this as well. We have some Shias, they're like, you see that ayah that was said that the Prophet has made a mistake? For example, Hazrat Adam ate the apple. And he got strayed from heaven. I was like, this is not what we believe in. This is Christian. You've watched too much Hollywood movies. This is not what Shia believes in. Allah, inshallah, we should have a whole session about that ayah, what it means. What does it mean? Imam Baqir alayhi salam says he had 100% attention to Allah. And then when he gave attention to his body, that's the coming down of the maqam. It doesn't mean going out of heaven. Heaven wasn't even built then. Heaven and hell is not a place that we go to. It's a place that we make with our a'mal, with our actions. We make heaven, our own heaven and hell. Heaven and hell is not some place that exists. This is a wrong theory that's come from other religions. Most people don't know it. In the faith of Shia, we don't believe the prophets made mistakes. They're ma'soom. Not like the 14 ma'soomin, but they're also ma'soom. The 14 ma'soomin have a higher ma'soom. But they're also ma'soom. They don't make mistakes. I was speaking to another Shia brother. He thought that the shaitan was an angel that became bad. I said to him, that's Lucifer, that's something else. That's for Christianity, that's not in our faith. That's got nothing to do with our faith. So to make sure that we have the correct ideology, we have to study. We have to look at different videos of the people that we know, not the wrong media, but the correct media, that we're sure of that this person is saying correct. And if we hear something that is a little bit shaky, we ask for where is he saying this from? What's the manabi'? What's the narration that has been told? Is it from the Quran? From the Quran, if he's saying this, go read the translation. There are good translations available, especially in English. So just to recap on the four opposite to a mu'min. A mu'min doesn't have just one opposite to it. A kafir, a munafiq, a murjat, which is like a 50-50 person, sometimes there, sometimes isn't. And fourth, a muzdaz'af, a person that doesn't know. Now we see in the companions of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein that they have these characteristics and more. Habib ibn Mazar and these 5 characteristics that he named, these are the bottom level, the foundation. Otherwise, how old was Abdullah ibn Hassan? Abdullah ibn Hassan was narrated he was less than 11. However, when all the companions of Abu Abdullah have been martyred, in the Qatlaqa, the first person to go was Abdullah ibn Hassan. He gave his hand for Abu Abdullah. He put his hand in front so that the sword would not hit Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. And his arm was little, he's less than 11. With one swing, his arm was cut off. It's one thing when Hazrat Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas gives a hand, gives two hands for Abu Abdullah. But a boy less than 11? Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Once all the brothers and sisters together. Assalamu alayka ya Abdullah. A word of love, a glance from you, O Aba Abdullah. Zuhair came in and heard a word or two. The words in the tent would just start or so. An arrow of love had pierced his heart. All the champions were just like Zuhair. They'll give it all up for their master Hussein. We'll give our life for you, Hussein. The questions we should be asking is, would we ourselves give our life for Abu Abdullah? Would we give our lives for Imam al-Zaman alayhi salam? If we give our lives, which are the most precious thing that we have, then how can we not give our materialistic things? How can we not give our life for Abu Abdullah in the way that we should live like him? Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. No arrows will reach you. These are the words of Habib ibn Mazahir. These are the words of Zuhair. These are the words of the companions of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein when he's in his prayer. No arrows will reach you as long as we live, O Abu Abdullah. In your defense, our chest shall stay. A sword in our hand, our heart full of love of Ali. We shall die for the son of Ali. How beautiful
not Aba Abdullah. O companions, now I stand alone. This is from the words of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. O champions, I stand alone to face my enemy. Brothers and sisters, just imagine in the desert of Karbala, there's no man left but Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. Habib has gone, Zuhair has gone. The backbone of Aba Abdullah, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, has no arms. The arrows have pierced his eyes. His son has been irba in pieces. Abu Abdullah is looking around. You said, alone I shall never be. You said, around me you shall stay. This is when Abu Abdullah al-Hussein is in the Qatlaqa. And there is a boy less than 11 rushing and fighting to get away from Bibi Zainab alayhi salam. Bibi Zainab was stopping Abdullah ibn Hassan from going to the Qatlaqa at this moment. You said, alone I shall never be. Here comes Abdullah ibn Hassan, like a man, like his uncle Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, giving his hand for Hussein. But that did not stop these mal'ooneen from martyring Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Everyone together, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منغلب ينغلبون باسمك الأعظم يا الله 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 يا الله. اللهم أجل لوليك الفرج، اللهم أجل لوليك الفرج، اللهم أجل لوليك الفرج وعافيته والنار. محمد وآل محمد.
صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة ويا صريع الدمعة الساكبة، يا مظلوم كربلاء. أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد. قد أوهنت جلد الديار الخالية، من أهلها مال الديار ومالية، ومتى سألت الدار عن أربابها يعد الصدى منها سؤالي ثانية. كانت غياثا للمنوب فأصبحت لجميع أنواع النوائب حاوية. ورد الحسين إلى العراق وظنهم تركوا النفاق إذ العراق كما هي، ولقد دعوه للعنا فأجابهم، ودعاهم لهدى فردوا داعيه. قست القلوب فلم تمل لهداية، تبا لهاتيك القلوب القاسية. ما ذاق طعم فراتهم حتى قضى عطشا، فغسل بالدماء القانية. يا ابن النبي المصطفى ووصيه، وأخا الزكي ابن البتول الزاكية، تبكيك عيني لا لأجل مثوبة، لكنما عيني لأجلك باكية. تبتل منكم كربلاء بدم، ولا تبتل مني بالدموع الجارية. أنست رزيتكم رزايانا التي سلفت، وهونت الرزايا الآتية. وفجائع الأيام تبقى مدة، وتزول وهي إلى القيامة باقية. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
Yes, thank you. بر خاتم انبیا محمد صلوات. Okay. Thank you, brothers and sisters, attending tonight. The night, as Maulana mentioned, is devoted to companions of Imam, and he insisted on Habib, Hazrat Habib ibn Mazahir, who was the oldest followers of Imam in Karbala, over 70 years old, and obviously the ones who invited Imam to come to the Kufa. And obviously well quoted in history of Karbala. Just we say few words on his martyrdom by repeating Habibam man Habibam, Habibam man Habibam, Habibam man Habibam, Habibam man Habibam. If you want to repeat, it's easy. There is no. Habibam man Habibam, Habibam man Habibam, Habibam man Habibam, Habibam man Habibam. حبیب ابن مظاهر طرفدار حسینم، حبیب ابن مظاهر طرفدار حسینم، غلام و جان نثار تمام عالمینم، شهادت شد نصیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم، حبیب کربلایم، حبیب کربلایم، شهید نینوایم، شهید نینوایم، شده وقف ولایت، سری از تن جدایم، سری از تن جدایم، شهادت شد نصیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم، حبیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم. من از سن جوانی، من از سن جوانی گرفتار حسینم، گرفتار حسینم، کلاف جان به دستم، کلاف جان به دستم، خریدار حسینم، خریدار حسینم، شهادت شد نصیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم. مرا پرورد مادر، مرا پرورد مادر، برای جان نثاری، برای جان نثاری، چه غم گر خون پاکم، چه غم بر خون پاکم، به صورت گشت جاری، به صورت گشت جاری، شهادت شد نصیبم، شهادت شد نصیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم. من از کوفه شبانه، من از کوفه شبانه، در این وادی رسیدم، در این وادی رسیدم، در این صحرا شهادت، در این صحرا شهادت، بود تنها امیدم، بود تنها امیدم، شهادت شد نصیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم، حبیبم من حسینم، حبیبم من حبیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم. حسین فرزند زهرا، حسین فرزند زهرا، برایم نام داده، برایم نام داده، کنم تا جان فدایش، به من منت نهاده، به من منت نهاده، شهادت شد نصیبم، شهادت شد نصیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم. نماز من شهادت، نماز من شهادت، قیام من حسین است، قیام من حسین است. همه عالم بدانند، همه عالم بدانند، امام من حسین است، امام من حسین است. شهادت شد نصیبم، شهادت شد نصیبم. حبیبم من حبیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم، حبیبم من حبیبم، حبیبم من.
سلام غازی سلام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی. سلام غازی سلام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی. سلام غازی سلام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی. سلام غازی سلام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی. جگہ جگہ ہے عالم گواہی دلوں پہ تیری ہے بادشاہی. جگہ جگہ ہے عالم گواہی دلوں پہ تیری ہے بادشاہی. لبوں پہ تیرا ہی نام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی. سلام غازی سلام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی. سلام غازی سلام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی. تیرے علم کا ہے ہم پہ سایہ، علم پہ سایہ ہے پنجتن کا. تیرے علم کا ہے ہم پہ سایہ، علم پہ سایہ ہے پنجتن کا. بلند تیرا مقام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی. سلام غازی سلام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی. سلام غازی سلام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی. علم کا جب سے ہوا ہے سایہ زمین کرب و بلا پہ مولا. علم کا جب سے ہوا ہے سایہ زمین کرب و بلا پہ مولا. تیرا ہے چلتا نظام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی. سلام غازی سلام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی. سلام غازی سلام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی. تو با وفا ہے تو لافتہ ہے بے آسروں کا تو آسرا ہے. تو با وفا ہے تو لافتہ ہے بے آسروں کا تو آسرا ہے. جہاں میں چرچا ہے عام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی. سلام غازی سلام غازی وفا کا تو ہے امام غازی. سلام غازی سلام غازی وفا کا تو ہے इमाम गाजी। हुसैन मौला से प्यार करना, हुसैन पर जान निसार करना। हुसैन मौला से प्यार करना, हुसैन पर जान निसार करना। यही है तेरा पयाम गाजी, वफा का तू है इमाम गाजी। सलाम गाजी सलाम गाजी, वफा का तू है इमाम गाजी। सलाम गाजी सलाम गाजी, वफा का तू है इमाम गाजी। सलावत।
والله صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. صغيرا واحتوى قلبي هواك، حسينا وحسينا وحسينا، وجئت اليوم زحفا كي أراك، حسينا وحسينا وحسينا. صغيرا واحتوى قلبي هواك، حسينا وحسينا وحسينا، وجئت اليوم زحفا كي أراك، حسينا وحسينا وحسينا. سمعت بحروفك لهيب طفوفك، قبل ما أشوفك نحت لمصابك. دليلي هايم اجيتك عازم، أصيرا خادم ترى بأحبابك. تركت أصحابي وهلي وأحبابي، حملت جدامي وجيت لبابك. بدت دمعاتي على وجناتي، تخط كلماتي على أعتابك. أنا طفل ولكن صوت حبي، به قد آذن الرحمن ربي. فما للقلب محبوب سواك، حسينا وحسينا وحسينا. وجئت اليوم زحفا كي أراك، حسينا وحسينا وحسينا. براءة صغري وترافت عمري، دمعت التجري لك عذرية. سمعت الناعي وجيتك ساعي، أحس أضلاعي لك محنية. حرت بظنوني وتغير لوني، ولو انسألوني عن عشق البية. البصر ما شافك لمست الطافك، يوحس أوصافك صور قدسية. كأن العشق أوحى للفؤاد، بني قم وارتدي ثوب الحداد. فامسى بين أحشاء نداك، حسينا وحسينا وحسينا. وجئت اليوم زحفا كي أراك، صغيرا واحتوى قلبي هواك، حسينا وحسينا وحسينا. وجئت اليوم زحفا كي أراك، حسينا وحسينا وحسينا. فطرت لقيتك أمان وجيتك، يا من عزيتك ملكت أقداري. نهار وليلي وصرت ترتيلي، وبدت توحيلي مواقد ناري. مثل ما شبلك يضحي لأجلك، دليلي قلك قسم بالباري. حواسي كلها تظل شاغلها، إلك أجعلها مهب الذاري. بإيمان سأمضي كالرضيعي، شهيدا يملأ الدنيا نجيعي. دمائي سيدي تفدي دماك، حسينا وحسين. وجئت اليوم زحفا كي أراك، حسينا وحسينا وحسينا. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
Majorine brothers and sisters, thank you very much for your recitation. For the last minute before praying, so I would like to all recite Dua al-Faraj, these all together. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات نهدي للجميع ثواب الفاتحة مع الصلوات.